and I'm never at a loss for words, but one word.
One word to describe the March of the Living.
It's difficult to bring it down to one word.
In one word about the March of the Living,
I think it is virtually impossible to summarize the March of the Living in one word.
perhaps for the survivors, a sort of redemption.
It's just one word, education.
The future. Just memory and just the importance of always remembering.
Magnificent.
Hope for survivor.
The word that comes to mind is legacy.
I think for me it's pride.
Victory at a very high price, but nevertheless victory.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March of the Living Adult Information Night. My name is Whitney Karp, and I'm the Director of March of the Living Canada. And I want to thank you all so much for joining us here tonight to learn more about the 2025 March of the Living. After an incredibly safe and meaningful and significant March of the Living 2024, we are all so excited to be back and planning March of the Living 2025. This year, the chair of the adult program is Amalia Berg, and the UJA staff traveling alongside the program are Pearl Goodman and Jason Toller. I also want to introduce my colleague Lauren Mintzer, whom I work alongside on the March of the Living programs. Tonight, you will hear from Jason, the vice chair of last year's program, Dory Eckstein, and Nate Leipziger, who has participated on March of the Living for 22 years as our survivor educator. We'll share information about registration, itinerary, local programming, program fees, safety and security, and more, and we'll also leave time at the end for questions. But without further ado, I'll hand it over to Jason.
Thanks, Whitney. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Toller, and I'm the Director of Major Gifts at UJA Federation of Toronto. Regrettably, my colleague Pearl Goodman couldn't be here, but alongside Pearl, we would like to welcome you to the 2025 March of the Living information session. Coming off the heels of an incredible and meaningful, safe journey to Poland and Israel in 2024, I have no doubt that this year will be any less special. I have seen how many of my friends, especially my colleagues that staffed it last year, and family who have been on the March of the Living have returned home with deep connections to our history, our community, and to Israel. The March of the Living offers unparalleled firsthand Holocaust and Israel education and the opportunity to travel with survivors and hear their testimony. It's an experience that we know won't be possible for many more years. It was a huge reason why I kind of stepped forward and wanted to come on the march. I've never been before, but again, hearing from colleagues and friends and family about how incredibly impactful and meaningful it is, I very much wanted to kind of seize this opportunity and go this year. Especially now as we see the rise in anti-Semitism and anti-Israel rhetoric. We believe that traveling on the March of the Living and traveling to Israel right now is more important than ever. And we really hope that you'll join us. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dori Eckstein, last year's vice chair, to say a few words.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March of the Living information session. My name is Dori Eckstein, as you heard, and I was the vice chair of the March of the Living last year. I am a daughter of 2 Holocaust survivors. My father was from Slovakia, and he was deported to Majdanek and Auschwitz for over 2.5 years to liberation. My mom was a 3-year-old toddler, who went into hiding with her parents in a barn owned by Polish farmers. I have been on the march twice, the March of the Living, first as a chaperone in 2011 with the student contingent, and last year, as I just said, as the vice chair, as the adult march. I've also been to Poland on my own for a personal tour of my father's history. And despite all this, and very unexpectedly, my most recent March of the Living journey was the most profound for me, and it had the greatest impact. The March of the Living is not just a trip. It is an extraordinary journey that will take you through emotional highs and lows as you process what you're seeing and learning. In Poland, you will become a witness to the atrocities of the Holocaust, see ghettos, mass graves, Nazi death camps, and together you will remember and honor the victims, but also appreciate the life of 3.5 million Jewish people who lived in Poland before World War II. You will visit sites, cities, towns, and villages that had once vibrant centers of Jewish life and learning. The highlight, of course, is hearing from survivors about their personal experiences during the Holocaust at the sites where the atrocities took place. Listening to those survivors and their experiences is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And as Jason said, there are limited years that this opportunity will be available. This year, I understand, once again, that the incredible Nate Leipzinger is planning to accompany the adult program. Nothing can replace walking through Auschwitz-Birkenau with Nate as your personal guide. And I can attest to that because I did it. And although I've already been there several times, it was just an experience that I will never forget. Going to Israel, especially post-October 7th, is a critical part of the March of the Living and not to be missed. My time in Israel last year, after Poland, was truly life-changing, an experience unmatched to any other. We visited the sites of October 7th atrocities, met the families of hostages still in Gaza, heard from survivors. We heard from a survivor of a moshev who told us that the moshev was the first victims that were attacked by Hamas. She showed us the destruction, the devastation of their homes, but she also told us that almost everyone is planning to rebuild and return. We met with brave Israelis who courageously displayed strength and determination. We heard from the father of Omri Moran. He's a 47-year-old father himself and a husband who is still a hostage in Gaza. His father told us about the heartbreaking story of communicating with him in his shelter until the moment he was dragged out by Hamas to Gaza. Omri's father spoke to our group with hope about hope and strength, and he thanked us for being there. These are the Israelis, and they are what gives us strength. This trip is extremely important because the Holocaust is part of the Jewish people's shared history, and we have a responsibility to remember those who were murdered. Even if your family didn't have a personal connection, we are all Jews, and it is our collective history. We have an obligation more than ever to work together to combat anti-Semitism, and equally important to support Israel and our homeland, especially at this time. All of my experiences in Poland and Israel showed me the unbelievable strength of the Jewish people. Bearing witness in Poland and then listening to the victims of October 7th in Israel gives you the inspiration and tools needed to learn to share what you've learned with others. I left Poland and Israel with a renewed sense of hope. The strength and the resilience of the people is something that can actually be felt when you talk to the families of hostages and victims of October 7th. Spending time with many Israelis was profoundly moving and makes me very proud to be Jewish. I returned to Toronto with a feeling of renewed hope and strength. I returned with a greater sense of Jewish pride, and I returned with more determination than ever to continue to stand up and speak out against anti-Semitism. This is how the March of Living impacted me this past year. The strength of our community depends on all of us getting involved and standing up. We all know that. If you are considering joining the March of the Living, I urge you not to delay. The opportunity to travel with a survivor is limited as time moves forward. I really hope that you choose to go on the March of the Living trip this year. I promise you will be grateful that you did. Thank you for listening to me. Now, I get the privilege of introducing my friend, Holocaust survivor, Nate Leipzinger. Nate is an incredibly passionate survivor speaker and a strong advocate for combating anti-Semitism and all forms of hatred. Nate has been on the March of the Living, as Whitney just said, 22 times, educating thousands and thousands of students and adults. Please welcome Nate.
Thank you. Thank you, Dory. After hearing Jason and Dory, there's very little that I really want to, needs to be added. I feel that that this is a special trip. As they said that our lifespan is limited, and so the number of years that the Holocaust survivors will be accompanying the March of the Living is limited as well. Now, I want to say one thing, that if there ever was a need to show our support for the March of the Living, for the education of our young people, it is now. You see, March of the Living is the most important aspect, a most important educational program in the world. And our young people, when they come back, they have experienced a life-changing experience. And they are a different type of a person, much prouder to be Jewish, much more comfortable with expressing themselves and promoting Jewish values. And that's what it is all about. You know, the Holocaust we thought was over, but after October the 5th, 7th, it is not over. It is, the only thing that changed is the players change. Instead of Hitler, we have the Khomeinis in Iran. And they are on the same earth. Actually, the Khomeini, that the first member, or first the first leader of the Hamas, or the Brotherhood of the Islamic Brotherhood, was an Arab from Palestine, and he was the Mufti of Jerusalem. And in 1922, he started organizing the destruction of the Palestinian Jews at that time. He led the attack in Hebron in 1929. He was the one that went to visit Hitler in 1933 to convince Hitler that he is on the right track. He was in Germany throughout the war. He was there in 1941. He was there in 1943 when the height of the death was occurring of the Jewish people. So that continuation is right there. We have so many examples of how this is continuing on. And today, the only difference is, one huge difference is that we can fight back. And how do we fight back? We fight back by being Jewish, by going back to Israel, going time and time again to Israel. That is our strength. And I cannot tell you how how important it is to me to see people come and go to Israel. If I was 20 years younger, I would be going back to Israel as I have in the past and spend a number of weeks helping the Israeli economy, the people in Israel. And, you know, every year that I go on the March of the Living, I want to talk about that a little bit more, is a special event. I go there to remember the people who were lost. My family, my neighbors, my co-religionists, a world of Jewish life. 10% of the Polish population was Jewish. Jewish cities like Warsaw, Krakow, Lodz, and other cities were over 30% Jewish. Can you imagine? Going out on the street and every second person is Jewish. It's like being in Israel. And that's the way I was brought up, and that's the way I remember it. And unfortunately, we do not do ourselves justice unless we remember who those people were. And even more important is to find out what they're contributing to our society, to our Western culture. And, you know, there were many Hasidic Jews, but there were also many assimilated or not assimilated in that they left their religion, but there were conservative Jews. I mean, we didn't talk about conservative. They were everybody was Orthodox, but they had relaxed mores, and they were in the Bund. They were in the government, and not in the government, but in the Knesset, in the Parliament of Poland. 10% of the seats were occupied by Jewish leaders. And that is the life that was there. It's not there anymore. Now our life has been transferred into Israel. And that's how we have to continue to understand the transfer of the European Jewry into Israel. And the European Jewry for centuries was the bulwark of progress, of the development of our ideas and the Western ideas. And today it continues on in Israel with the fantastic innovations that they are able to do, with the way they conducted the war and the way they took on all the armies of the Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and Iraq. It is just marvelous. And I think I'm very proud to be able to go with you on the march. And you know, I was very disappointed last year when over 20 people could not get onto the bus. 20 people that wanted to come could not go because they did not register in time. So please register in time and let's be together. Let's walk through the former concentration camps in the occupied part of Poland, and let's bring life to the memories of those who perished there.
Thank you.
I will accept questions. If there's any questions, I will entertain questions.
Let's save questions till the end, but I mean, thank you so much for being here and for taking questions and for everything that you do for our community and traveling with us. It's an absolute privilege to be able to know you and learn from you and to be able to travel with you. As I'm sure you've all already gathered, March of the Living is so much more than just a 2-week trip. For 36 years, March of the Living has engaged, impacted, and changed the lives of more than 13,000 participants, from high school students to young adults and older adults, and our remarkable survivor educators. The March has provided a powerful experience to all those who participate. The March of the Living is an intense, emotional, educational, and immersive experience that lasts a lifetime. Listening to survivors, learning from top-class educators, walking in the footsteps of our ancestors, both in celebration and in memory, standing in solidarity with Israel on Yom HaZikaron, as we remember far too many victims of terror, and celebrating Jewish life and a Jewish homeland in Israel on Yom Ha'atzmaut. The March of the Living can be so many things, but we also want to be clear about what it's not. March of the Living for the adults is not an opportunity to be with the students, though you will see the students from time to time at national events. And of course, on the day of the International March of the Living, you won't be eating meals with them and you won't be staying at the same hotels. The March of the Living is certainly not a holiday or vacation. It's group travel. Seats on flights are assigned. The bus doesn't leave till everybody gets there. There's early mornings, late nights, packed lunches, and it's exhausting, emotional, and filled with jet lag. We know group travel isn't for everybody, but if you are willing to embrace the experience and be a team player, it's well worth it. This year, the dates of the program are Poland and Israel, April 21st to May 4th, and the Poland-only program is April 21st to May 8th. One of the core elements of the March of the Living is the dates in which the program coincides. Yom HaShoah is when the actual International March of the Living takes place, walking 3 kilometers from Auschwitz to Auschwitz-Birkenau alongside thousands of people from all around the world, hand in hand with Holocaust survivors, as we then witness a Yom HaShoah ceremony on the ground of Birkenau. On Yom HaZikaron, we mourn with our Israeli brothers and sisters and attend a national memorial ceremony in Israel, remembering those who we've lost fighting for our homeland. And on Yom Ha'atzmaut, we celebrate Israel's independence and the future of Israel as a Jewish democratic state. I'll quickly review some of the highlights of the itinerary. Please note that all of these pieces are subject to change. Throughout the program, we will explore life before the war. Of course, you'll visit Auschwitz and Birkenau. There will be an opportunity to visit the Krakow Ghetto Square and participate in the International March of the Living on Yom HaShoah. We will learn about destruction and resistance and celebrate Shabbat all together. We will explore life before the war, the rise of anti-Semitism, destruction, as I mentioned, resistance, spiritual and physical resistance, and also liberation and life after the war. For those who are attending Poland only, they'll return on April 28th if they're returning on the group flight. And for those who are hopefully, most of you, coming to Israel, the flight is overnight on April 27th. A quick look at the Israel itinerary. In Israel, we will visit ancient Jewish sites and explore the beauty of the land, but it is now also our duty to bear witness to October 7th and give back to Israel. So there will be a volunteer opportunity. There will also be time for shopping in Israel and family and friends visits as well. There's also opportunities to hear from high-level speakers in Israel. Last year, we were not only joined, as Dory mentioned, by family members of victims of terror and family members of hostages, God willing. Of course, there will no longer be any hostages. We also had Eylon Levy come and speak to the adults on Shabbat. And the program is really full of incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. Registration is currently open. To maintain a high caliber of the program, the capacity is 80 people, so that's 2 buses, and we fill 1 bus at a time. So if you are very keen to participate, I encourage you to sign up early, because as Nate mentioned last year, there were a few people who were unable to join us because they didn't register on time. There's 3 parts to the application. Part 1 is personal information. Part 2 is your medical information, and also trip information where you're able to request upgrades, which I'll talk more about. And part 3 are the terms and conditions and deposit payment. Currently, parts 1 and 2 are open, and in the coming weeks, we will open part 3. We'll send an email to all those who have started applications when part 3 becomes available. This is what the website looks like. It's marchthelivingcanada.org. This is what you'll see when you visit the website. You'll then click on register, and this is what you'll see. You'll see Toronto High School, Coast to Coast High School, young adults and adults. So you'll select adults, of course, and then it'll take you to the registration page where you will have to submit your email and password. You'll make an account. You're able to fill in information, leave the account, and come back. It'll be automatically saved for you, and you'll just have to log back in, or you can leave the browser open as well if you want to do it in pieces. If you need any help at any point in time with your application, myself and Lauren are here to help you. We have an email that I'll share at the end of the presentation. We'll also post our own emails. We're happy to help you at any point in time. So the year ahead I'll talk about, and also the application timeline. Registration, as I mentioned, is open. It closes on December 15th. But as I said, we fill the buses one at a time. So it's very possible that we will fill a bus before December 15th. Please do not wait until December 15th to pay your deposit, because at that point in time, the bus could be full. If you'd like updates on numbers throughout the application timeline, you're welcome to call and we will provide you those. You can also let us know if there's anything we can do to help you in terms of maybe there's something, a family conflict or a date that you have in mind that you're waiting for. Just please keep us in the loop, because we need to know information in order to help you. There are 3 opportunities to gather before departure. So those are, it's one in-person meeting at the Toronto Holocaust Museum, a lunch and learn, which will be online, and the final meeting is a logistics review, which will be online for those who are not living in Toronto, and will be in person for those in Toronto, because there are materials that we need you to pick up. We also provide reading lists, which include movies and other recommendations to best prepare you for this experience. The cost of this year's program is $15,200 for the Poland and Israel portion, and $8,600 for the Poland only portion. This price includes all flights, hotels, meals, ground transportation, security, educators, gratuity, admissions to all sites, and all local programming. It's all inclusive. We recognize that March of the Living is an investment. We believe it's an investment worth making. Our adult program has an incredible international reputation. I encourage you to talk to any adults who have been on March of the Living to hear their feedback. It really is, I think, the best adult March of the Living program offered. So before we open it up to questions, I'll try and answer a few commonly asked questions with regard to flights and upgrades. All flights are organized through the International March of the Living, and as you can imagine, booking flights for thousands of people is no small task. The flights that we offer are firm for that reason. On your application, you can indicate if you'd like to fly with us or if you'd like to book your own airfare. Once our flights are confirmed, changes are very challenging, so please, again, over-communicate if there's anything on your mind, and we'll do our best to accommodate. With regard to extensions, we cannot accommodate extensions. So if you'd like to arrive in Poland early or depart later from Israel, you'll receive a credit for your flight home and will be responsible for booking your own flight. Unfortunately, because we either charter flights or we take over flights, we are not able to help you with booking on points. So again, you should book your own flights on points and meet the group and receive that credit. With regard to upgrades, we do offer premium economy and business class upgrades on a first come, first served basis, keeping in mind that all of our incredible survivor educators throughout all of our programs fly with us, and they fly business, so there are limited business seats. There's an option on your application if you're interested in an upgrade, and once we confirm prices and availability, we will be in touch with you. With regard to side trips, if you're interested in a side trip to discover more about your family history, please email the office so we can help you. We work with guides in Poland, and we put you in touch with guides in Poland who we've worked with in the past, who offer everything from helping arrange your own visit or picking you up and taking you on your own day trip. Just please note that if you decide to do this during regularly scheduled programming, you will miss out on that day's activities. Food. If you have a serious allergy, please call us so that we can accommodate you. We have a lot of control over the food that we serve here. We have less control over the food that we serve in Poland and Israel, and they think of allergies a little differently, but we really want this to be the safest program for everybody. So if you have an allergy, please let us know about that. Rooming. So the price of the trip is based on double occupancy. If you're traveling alone and wish to be paired with another solo traveler, you can indicate that on your application and we will do our best to match you. We'll introduce you and then you can meet each other and decide if you'd like to room together or not. However, if it's not possible to pair you, you will be responsible for the single supplement cost. And just another note on accommodations, all of the accommodations on the adult program are 5-star hotels, but 5-star hotels in Europe and Israel, as I'm sure you are all aware, look a little different than 5-star hotels in North America. But we've never had any problems with our hotels, and all the adults have been very happy about where we stay. And a note with regard to security. So we cover a lot more about security and all of these things in the weeks leading up to the program, in the months leading up to the program. And I'm happy to talk more about safety and security, but I will just preface it with there's security on every bus throughout the duration of our time in Poland and our time in Israel, armed security. In Poland, our group is part of a much larger security apparatus with the International March of the Living. And in Israel, each bus is equipped with a GPS, and our itineraries are always closely monitored. There's headquarters set up in Warsaw and Krakow in Poland and Jerusalem in Israel, and we check in every day with the agencies at Power. And if there's any reason to deviate from the itinerary, anything from a weather alert to anything more serious, we do so. And again, I'm happy to answer more questions about safety and security. If there's any specifics, I'm also happy to have a phone call or a meeting about it. Before we open it up to questions, I just want to take a minute to thank Nate, Dory, and Jason and Lauren for being here tonight and for their commitment to March of the Living. Lauren and I are available by phone and email if you have any questions throughout the next few weeks. And we are very much looking forward to getting to know the participants and for a very safe and meaningful March of the Living 2025. So if you have questions, you can reach us at mol@ujfed.org. You can also call, that's my number directly. And you'll receive a follow-up email with this as well, if you have any questions or concerns. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And if there's any questions for right now, you can, for March of the Living or for Nate, you can type in the chat box or the Q&A box. And if there's no questions, thank you for joining, and we really hope to see you on March of the Living 2025.
I'd just like to add that three of my children are going to be on the march with me. Gary Green, Lisa Pincus, and Arla Litwin are all joining us. So they'll be our support group, especially to me. And I think, by the way, it's going to Poland is not all drudgery. And difficult memories. We also celebrate the life that was there, and we dance in synagogues, and we go out in the evening and get to know each other and have fun, as well as getting educated and participating in a very, very important event in the life of the Jewish people.
Thank you, Nate. So in terms of single supplement cost and the credit, those are both pieces that are coming in the next few weeks. We will share them. Please email us and we'll share them. I don't think there's anywhere public we're going to be posting them, just because we don't post all the pieces of the price on our website, but very happy to share those as soon as we get them. And unfortunately, there are no subsidies for the adults program. There are subsidies for the high school and young adults program. I will repeat my phone number. What's excluded from the cost other than personal items? It's all included. So that price includes everything aside from any spending money that you want to spend on the ground, and other than insurance. So we do require medical insurance. My phone number is 416-635-2883, extension 5367.
Can you maybe put it in the chat?
Yes, I was mainly just saying that because Lauren was going to correct me if it was wrong.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Are there any non-Jewish registrants? Yes, we do. We have had non-Jewish adult participants in the past. Often they come with a Jewish friend or family member, but we're happy to have non-Jewish adults join us on the March of the Living. Is there a minimum gift to UJA? You must be a donor in good standing to UJA, but there's no minimum gift. What's the age group? It's 40 plus.
I was just going to say, you can come talk to me about a UJA gift if you need to.
You can talk to Jason. If in another city, yes. So if you're joining from another city, thanks, Lauren. If you're joining from another city and you'd like to take our group flights, you'll have to join us in Toronto. Otherwise, you can fly from your own city directly to Warsaw. That's where the trip will be starting. Nate, this one's for you. Thank you to Nate. He accompanied each of my children's MOL years. Many, many people in our community have had the absolute privilege of traveling with Nate.
That's a main reason why you should definitely sign up and go this year with Nate, because
he's incredible.
Very experienced.
Well, next year I'll be 97. So
97.
I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, whether our God will allow me to go back, but I'm going back tomorrow. I mean, this year, next year, tomorrow, next year.
The dates are April 21st to May 4th for Poland and Israel. And do you allow non-Jewish kids on the high school program? So the high school program is a Jewish identity program. It's for grade 11 students. I'm happy to chat more about that if you want to give me a call or email. But the short answer is that it's for Jewish students. Jason, would you like to say more about the minimum gift to UJA or being a member?
I'm not sure. I don't think it's not like there's no minimum. You just need to be a donor at UJA in good standing. So it's no minimum amount. Any gift to UJA is a meaningful gift, and it's greatly appreciated to not only help people or the organizations within the Toronto community, but for the great work that we do in Israel. And if you come to Israel, you'll get to learn a bit about that as well. Our sister city in Toronto is Sderot, which is actually on the border of Gaza, which was heartbreakingly affected in October 7th. Some of our good friends live there, but they have rebounded and are rebuilding their lives there. So it's supporting a good cause at the end of the day.
I will put up the slide one more time. We're also going to share a recording of this this evening. So
I just want to add something about going to Israel. If you are thinking about going on the march and not sure about doing the Israel part, I urge you to do the Israel part. Because it was October 7th, people had registered, and right after October 7th, there were quite a few participants that weren't sure or comfortable going to Israel. And we had half the bus go to Israel, and the other half that didn't go were kicking themselves. When we came back and shared our experiences, we felt completely safe. It was UJA trip never takes their participants unless they feel that they are safe. And I felt totally safe. We all did, like I said, and we were. And we shared it at a reunion, our experiences, and almost everyone said they should have gone on the Israel part. And you heard Nate, if he was 2 years younger, he'd go on the Israel part. So
I think
I just wanted to add that you shouldn't have any fear at all to go to the Israel part. I urge you.
I'd like to add that today is we're in November. We are going in April, the end of April. That's 5 months from now. The war may be well over, so we'll be there to celebrate with Israel our victory.
Amen.
Agreed.
What date do you fly to Israel? So the group will fly on April 27th to Israel, and there are many people that go from Poland to Israel. So they're all charters, but they are chartered flights from Israeli Airlines. So it ranges from El Al to Arkia to Israel, and sometimes not, but those are what we're looking at for this year. Will the trip visit? Yes. So as I showed very quickly, our plan is to visit the South. That includes a visit to the grounds of the Nova Music Festival and to Sderot, which is Toronto's partner city, of course. Yeah, and
very, very meaningful places.
I'll also just add that to Dory's comment, if you're at all nervous about going to Israel, twofold. One, it's a very personal decision, so we respect your decision. But if you're on the fence about it, I'm happy to talk to you. I've actually had the opportunity to go to Israel a few times this year in different capacities, and I have only felt safe while there. In fact, it's almost like taking a breath of fresh air once you step in off the plane and into Israel, and feeling a sense of unity and belonging. So really happy to chat about those experiences also.
So just on that again, yes, you do need to be a donor of UJA, but there is no minimum amount. So you can make any donation you want to UJA.
Okay. So it looks like those are all the questions. Thank you all so much for joining us. And if you have any other questions, you know where to reach us. And we look forward to traveling with you. So have a good night. And thanks for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.